Some of these souls
that ain't right.
these wombs be activated. No, seriously, on some Rising Dion type shit. Every time this little boy put his hand up to this light bulb, it activates, it turns on. Even proving it with everybody else, they put their hand on the light bulb and it's not lighting up like his is. This really wouldn't be the first time that I seen somebody light a light bulb up with their hands.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most scary and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, unusual, unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank the Seekers, man, who's watching the videos entirely. Commented down below. Greatly appreciate the support. Found these videos for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, Seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
Your phone picks it up, and somehow it gets the information you're talking about, puts you in the algorithm of that subject matter, right? Right. We've all noticed that, right? But have y'all gotten to the point where you don't even have to speak on it? You can just think about it, and you're in the algorithm. Yeah. You're in getting ads or promotions to that subject matter you were just thinking about.
Phones are reading our minds.
I've kind of tested this a few times, unintentionally though. But I thought about something that I haven't thought about in years and years. I haven't seen on TikTok. I haven't seen on anything in years.
I think
but I think about it, right? And suddenly I'm in that algorithm. Every other video was that subject matter. Am I the only one experiencing this?
Try this out.
Does everybody else experience, like, it seems like these phones can tell what we're thinking and they throw us in the algorithm of that.
Weird.
You know how rare your
body
is? 91% of people have a clockwise hair whirl. 83% of people can roll their tongue. 65% of people have looped fingerprints. 43% of people can speak more than one language. 35% of people don't have wisdom teeth. 35% of people naturally have 20/20 vision. 30% of people can flare their nostrils. 25% of people have dimples. 25% of people have perfect teeth. 20% of people are double jointed. 14% of people can make a clover shape with their tongue. 12% of people dream in black and white. 11% of people have naturally curly hair. 10% of people have a second toe that's longer than their big toe. 10% of people have a coffee-colored birthmark. 10% of people can touch their tongue to their nose.
I can't do that.
No. 9% of people have a counterclockwise hair whirl. 5% of people have arched fingerprints. 4% of people have an outie belly button. 3% of people have an X on both palms. 2% of people have naturally red hair. 2% of people have natural blonde hair. Less than 1% of people have a single crease on their palm. Less than 1% of people have double eyelashes. Less than 1% of people have a negative blood type. Less than 1% of people are born with their heart on the right side of their chest. And less than 1% of people can actually touch their tongue to their elbow.
I can't do that either.
Here's some movie theories that may actually be true. Part 3. In The Incredibles, we know that the Omnidroids are built to fight and kill specific heroes. The first Omnidroid Mr. Incredible fights is defeated pretty quickly, but this theory states that it wasn't meant for him. This Omnidroid was actually targeting Frozone. This would explain why it's lava-proof, since it's later revealed that Frozone can't use his powers in hot places. The Omnidroid also has a blue light, hinting that it was intended for Frozone. And when Mirage spies on the two heroes, she's actually spying on Frozone, saying that the fat guy is still with him. We even see later in the movie another Omnidrome that is much bigger, much stronger, and even has a red light for the Incredibles. Had Frozone shown up instead of Mr. Incredible, the Omnidroid would have most likely added him to the list of dead heroes.
Damn.
Let's get started off right here. Cardi B's new album has just broken the Guinness Book of World Records. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check this out. Take a look at this right here and read it yourself. Cardi B sets the Guinness World Record for the most drone deliveries in 1 hour with her new album, Am I the Drama? It's being delivered via drone by Walmart. Have a listen to this.
I can't even believe this. My fans been getting my album from drones. My album has been literally flying off the shelf from Walmart.
It's been a while since Cardi B has dropped an album, and this album has just come out. And let me tell you something right now, it is firing on all cylinders. Specifically, the track called Dead, featuring Summer Walker, has now made it to #1 already on the US Apple Music charts. The album also has a track on there featuring Selena Gomez. And the album does not disappoint. It is in true Cardi B form. So they're already saying that this album is platinum. And you already saw how many units are being moved out of Walmart via drone that it also broke a Guinness World Record. So like myself, many of her fans have been waiting for this album to drop. And now that it's here, she has not disappointed. So let me know your thoughts in the comments if you're going to download it, if you've already streamed it and checked it out. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Again, that drone delivery. Looks like Jaws, bro.
I don't know about you, but when I saw that the other day, when my friend sent it to me, my soul almost left my body, and I almost pooped my entire soul out. So yeah, if you can't tell what it is a massive megalodon animatronic, and like you can see the springs that it's on. Granted, it's not submerged in water, but the fact that it has like that rainfall coming down around it, it's still wet. And I'm still scared of wet things. It's made by a company called Horror Props, and it is in North Carolina at a haunted attraction called the Woods of Terror. I bet this is so much scarier at night. Could you imagine going through this and seeing this with just like barely that green light, I assume, is the only thing on it, and just coming up on this and seeing this? Could you imagine? Does this scare you, or am I alone on this one? Because it's not fully submerged, but it is still freaking terrifying. Please let me know.
I ever seen a teddy bear so real that it made the police call the coroner, y'all? They thought this joint was wrapped in real human skin, y'all. Look at it. Well, as of right now, I don't even know if they really know if it's not. But I do know somebody left this beside a gas station and the police came. They had to tape off the whole spot, y'all. This on some like Wrong Turn or some Hills Have Eyes or some Texas Chainsaw Massacre type shit. Imagine you pull up to the gas station, you hop out the whip, you walking into the gas station and go pay for the gas to get in your pump, and you see this junk sitting at the door. What's the first thing you gonna think when you see this shit?
I'm out.
Like some Chucky shit. Look at the junk, y'all. That junk was just sitting there. Who the put it there? I know they doing an investigation. Y'all look, they was not fucking around. They got the whole shit taped off. Shorty putting on gloves, they taking this shit serious. Now let's just say this really is human skin on that teddy bear. Do you know how mental somebody gotta be to do something like this?
World is crazy.
Fool. I'm gonna keep y'all updated. Cause as of right now, like I said, they don't know if this is really real human skin or not. But they treating it as if it is. Look, they put that joint in a bag and everything. Now, I'm not gonna lie, looking at it, like I said, it could have been all the things I named, or it could have been part of a satanic ritual. You never know. But all I do know is, I wouldn't have been around that junk.
This man says that he can sleep while swimming, and he's actually had to learn how because he's currently attempting to break the world record for the longest continuous swim. That will take him a staggering 5 days and 5 nights non-stop. Noam Yaron from Switzerland has to cross the Mediterranean Sea from Corsica Island to Monaco without leaving the water for even a minute. And he's currently about 2 days in at the time we're recording. It's a huge distance of 112 miles, and since he's not allowed to take a nap or rest on the boat, he said that he's had to teach himself to sleep while swimming using hypnosis. And how this works feels illegal. Noam said that he can close his eyes and shut off one part of his brain, while the other half keeps him swimming like a dolphin. And obviously you think, well, he's asleep, so how does he stay on course? Well, apparently that's what this swimming line is for, and it also lights up at night. This is so he can see it with his eyes closed. If it feels too bright, he knows he's getting too close, and if it starts to feel too dim, well, he knows that he's going off course. Bro, we literally got human dolphins before Jesus. As he gets to his last day, I'll keep you guys updated.
Neighbors had reported
Did he finish it?
seeing from this hole
this black beam shoot from this hole. Like every now and then. It's just they said it was darker than dark. This beam just go. In fact, one of my neighbors once told me that his dog died and he threw the dog down the hole. And he said the next morning that dog was on his porch. What?
Like,
alive.
Alive?
Alive. So a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah.
After the government showed up, he says, go look at my land on the satellite imagery. It's blocked out over where his property are. Sure enough, it is blocked out. You cannot see what is right there.
Is that legit? Do we have the address? Can we confirm that, like on Google Earth?
I don't know.
We need to look it up.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Anyways, that's Mel's hole.
That was wild.
One more spooky thing.
One more spooky thing.
This guy on TikTok, his TikTok is called the number 2 swag. 2 swag.
2 swag.
But he goes and explores abandoned buildings and stuff like that. And one that was really weird. It was apparently in Gary, Indiana, and there was a whole entire neighborhood that was just abandoned.
Some of these souls that's
That ain't
coming
right.
through these rooms be activated. Seriously, on some Rise and Dion type shit. Every time this little boy put his hand up to this light bulb, it activates, it turns on. Even proving it with everybody else, they put their hand on the light bulb and it's not lighting up like his is. This really wouldn't be the first time that I seen somebody light a light bulb up with their hands. They told us we only activated a certain percentage of our minds. What if the generation that came behind us, right? The generation after us coming in tapped in. We really wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of years we start to see something like X-Men or Stranger Things. And many more movies showing us people with these superhuman abilities. Yep, we're in some strange times and they just keep getting stranger. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. Like and follow for more wisdom and stay tuned. And if you want to learn how to grow your social media account just by posting videos, comment down below ATM and I'm going to send them in your DMs.
You're the chosen one.
Resurfaced from the Met Gala about someone from the royal family. What? Princess Beatrice? Okay. People are saying she looks a little bit too much like a robot. Almost like she's not real. They have a lot of money, a lot of access to things that aren't accessible to regular people. The theory is this was a test to see if we'd be comfortable with fake people in public. People are saying something is a bit off here.
This girl is still healthy and living, right? But they just wanted to test. Oh, that's a robot.
Something going on, right? No human she could be is not real.
Scientists just captured
What do you
the
think?
first photograph of a single atom visible to your naked eye, and this tiny dot of light represents one of the most significant breakthroughs in physics history. This single strontium atom is trapped between metallic electrodes and illuminated by a purple laser, creating a pinprick of light you can actually see without any magnification. The precision required is mind-blowing. Scientists used ion trap technology to suspend this fundamental building block of matter in an electromagnetic field while photographing it. This represents the first time humans have visually captured what everything in the universe is made of at its most basic level, making invisible reality suddenly tangible. The same ion trap technology forms the foundation of quantum computers that could solve problems impossible for traditional computers to handle. This ability to manipulate individual atoms opens doors to atomic scale manufacturing, quantum communication systems, and medical treatments that work at the molecular level. The achievement demonstrates humanity's incredible precision in engineering, creating electromagnetic fields so accurate they can hold a single atom perfectly still for photography. When we can trap, control, and photograph the fundamental components of matter itself, what technological boundaries actually remain for human achievement?
It's as soon as you lock on with him, it's following you. That's eerie.
Disney stars who hated each other in real life. Ashley and Lucas, who played best friends in a High School Musical, were actually not friends at all. In a YouTube video they made in 2017, they said that they actually did not get along at all and they hated each other. In 2015, Sky Jackson made it clear on Twitter that she did not like her old co-star Debbie Ryan, who played with her on Jessie. She claimed that Debbie had a private Twitter that she used to cyberbully her. Debbie then responded, calling her insecure and unprofessional. and this led to Skag firing back with more tweets. Hannah Montana and Emily Osment, who played best friends in Hannah Montana, did not get along at all. In 2009, Miley made an autobiography. In there, it says that her and Emily Osment never had intentions of actually being friends. She said that they could just not figure out how to get along. Aura and Ross were characters in a TV show called Austin and Ally, and they said that best friends on camera, they acted like a married couple on set.
David brought a casket to every concert of his, where every concert was a funeral, and David told us why he did it. And David's reasoning is even more spookier than I could have ever imagined. And now after seeing all the evidence that has been pulled from David's house, not only does it look like David is completely cooked, and even more worse, it's concerning that a lot of David's fans didn't even think twice when they saw this casket, because based on everything that I've seen from a David concert so far, all of David's shows seem to have some sort of demonic presence, as well as David having this weird obsession with DEATH, considering that he referenced it so many times in a lot of his songs. Even more insaner, David was obsessed with Hello Kitty. A lot of reports had Celeste last seen wearing these Hello Kitty crocs, and even more insaner, David's profile picture on TikTok is a DEAD Hello Kitty. And now a lot of people are speculating that David's concerts were a funeral for her. And now every new alleged detail that is coming out about this is disgusting, and it even makes me more sicker to my stomach seeing this new video of what looks to be some stage at David's concert wearing those same Hello Kitty crocs. Now this is all alleged speculation. Is David cooked?
This story is mind-blowing.
Crazy.
How many people heard of the woman that took her dead father cremated ashes and put it under the microscope? She's seen the universe. Here is another image of our father cremated ashes under the microscope. You can't tell me that don't look like the universe. More images. I guess it's true what they say. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I had no idea our ashes look like this under a microscope. This is an image of the universe. Another image of the universe. But if you look at these images, it looks just like cremated ashes. When you look at these ashes real close, it looked just like star clusters or glitter. When I seen those ashes, the first thing I thought about was, damn, we really are a part of, but we think we are just our physical came from. This is a mind-blowing story and also a reminder letting us know that we really are stars.
If this doesn't make you believe that we live in a hologram in a matrix, y'all, I don't know what will, y'all, because please explain what is going on here. Can anybody explain what's going on here? Why is this bird see-through? And if it's not see-through or hologram, why and how is this bird letting this person get so close to it, y'all? These birds, where I'm from, these birds be ready to jump as soon as they see a camera. You know what I'm saying? But for this person to be this close to it, staring in its eye, I guess this is some of the weird things that takes place in Australia. Is that why they call it, you know, the down under? Because a lot of weird things happen under there. And then this over here, this guy is bringing this thing in. What is that, y'all? What is this?
Stingray?
What
look
kind
like
of creature is it? It looks like it's still breathing, like it's blowhole. What is that, y'all? Oh my goodness, is that like a pet? Is that his pet or something? It's like he took that thing for a walk or a swim. Look, it's like he's got it on a leash. What is going on here, y'all? There's some crazy things going on in this world, man. This is crazy. But let me know what you guys think about this video. The ship is here. Let's continue to get it. Peace out.
A see-through bird, man.
If you're thinking about going skiing or snowboarding this winter, you might want to watch this video. On March 2023, Francis Zuber was skiing on Mount Baker in Washington when he randomly noticed a snowboard just laying on the snow. As he got closer to the snowboard, it began moving around, so he realized that there was someone stuck beneath the snow. The man trapped beneath 6 feet of snow was 40-year-old Ian Staker, who fell headfirst in a tree well. And a tree well is an area around the base of a tree that gets filled with snow, so if you happen to get yourself in there, it is difficult to get out. Ian was stuck beneath 6 feet of snow for about 10 minutes before Francis spotted him. Francis began removing the snow with a shovel that he had in his bag, and you can see in this video how much snow there was and how deep Ian was in there. Ian said that he was pretty sure he wasn't going to make it out on that day, especially because he had been under the snow for about 10 minutes already, and he knew that if he went went over 15 minutes, he would suffocate. In fact, Ian would go on to say that one of his close friends passed away a couple of months earlier after he fell in a tree well on that same mountain. And what's absolutely incredible and what some people call a coincidence is that Francis, the man that saved his life, wasn't even supposed to be skiing on that side of the mountain on that day, and the only reason he was there was because he ran into some of his friends and decided to go skiing with them on that mountain.
These are this.
Believe in fate seekers, man. Was it fated for him to be on that mountain that day, like I said, to save that man? For that man, I think to be in not falling that same exact tree as his friend, but to even speaking, I guess, snowball on that mountain after what happened to his friend, that was a sign right there. Sometimes you gotta pay attention to the sign seekers. You never know.
Strangest things found inside people's bodies. Part 7. In 1999, an Indian man became the world's first pregnant man, even though he was born a biological male. You see, one day, Sanju Bhagat was dealing with a swollen stomach and was having difficulty breathing. So he went to the doctor to get it checked out, where they discovered a large mass inside him. When they took him in for surgery, they found gallons of liquid inside his stomach and an underdeveloped fetus. This was because Sanju was once a twin and consumed the other sibling inside the mother's womb, but this wasn't discovered until this moment. Next, in 2003, a Japanese woman discovered a rare tumor inside her ovaries. It's called a teratoma, and it can grow muscles, hair, and even bones and teeth. However, this teratoma also developed limbs, eyes, and a brain. In other words, it had pretty much everything it needed to become a conscious creature on its own, which is terrifying. And lastly, in 2014, an Australian man named Dylan Thomas came home from a vacation in Bali when he discovered a painful red line going from his belly button up his torso. And after 3 days of pain, doctors discovered that there was a spider crawling under his skin. Apparently, Thomas had just had an appendectomy performed on him, and the spider somehow snuck its way into his skull. Yeah, have fun trying to sleep tonight.
Dirty facts about history that school probably didn't teach you, part 1. Famous poet Edgar Allan Poe married his 13-year-old step-cousin at the age of 27. What are you doing, Step Poe? There is a legal pee-pee size in Iceland, and this comes from the Middle Ages where a man and a woman got married, and on their wedding night, the woman was so disappointed with how small it was that she took him back to the church to get a divorce. And because of her, a law was made that requires you to be 3 inches to get married. During times of war, some armies would wipe their poop on their weapons so that when they stab their enemies, they get that extra poison damage. There are many letters between Benjamin Franklin and various women that suggest that he might have had a fart fetish. The person who wrote Frankenstein lost her virginity on the top of her mother's grave. Great writer, but terrible funeral manners.
Yeah, those facts are blowing my reality.
Animals discovered in 2024, part 1. Firstly, I present to you the skeleton panda sea squirt that was recently discovered off the coast of Japan in 2024. These sea creatures can live up to 7 to 30 years, and scientists really aren't too sure why they look like this, but they named them skeleton panda sea squirts because they literally look like baby skeletons dressed up for Halloween. This is awesome. Next, breeders in the US have recently just created a new hybrid cat. Meet the XL Bully Cat, which is mixed with the Sphinx and Munchkin cat. However, governments are already saying don't buy this cat due to its health problems by not having any hair and short legs. Yeah, I was not expecting this in 2024. Finally, in June, researchers found a new species of piranha-like fish, which looks like this right here. And they decided to name this fish Sauron, after Lord of the Rings, because these researchers seriously believe it looks just like it. And I mean, they're not really wrong.
Isn't that scary to think about, Seekers, man? Like, we still discovering new animals, new breeds in the oceans. That goes to show you how vast the ocean is, man. And if you really put it into context, it's the year 2024 and we still discovering new things about the ocean. It makes you wonder what else is lurking down there, man. That's why I don't be ruling out mermaids and sirens and things like that when I be watching this with you guys, because you truly never know. That's
Here are some dirty history facts I can guarantee you were never taught. Part 2. If you ever told your history teacher any of these, they definitely go, what the fuck? According to private investigator Fred Stash, JFK was apparently a one-pump wonder, if you know what I mean. Ladies, for this one, I'm so sorry. For birth control, the Egyptian used a mix of ingredients. Specifically 2, which included crocodile poop mixed with honey, and they would put it, yeah. Next, large eggplants, if you know what I mean, on the males of ancient Greece, were actually a sign of stupidity. Hence why all the statues have small ones, as it's actually a sign of being an intellect. Fuck! Stories go that King Tut was actually excited when he was mummified. That is definitely what I call a 2,000-year-old happy sleep. And finally, the whoopee cushion, revolutionary in today's society. But it actually dates back to the 14-year-old Roman Empire Elagabalus, when his whole legacy became inventing the whoopee cushion and pranking his dinner guests. Legend.
True prank legend, bro. Clap it up for him.
These are dirty animal facts you wish you never knew about. Part 3. Up first, petting birds actually turns them on. They will start panting and shaking, and sometimes even puke on you. So the next chance you get to pet a bird, you might want to think twice about doing it. Next up, frogs sometimes might make a home out of elephant's poop. They do this because it provides shelter from the sun, and all the bugs crawling around in it make for an easy quick snack for the frog. This is absolutely disgusting, and it kind of ruined my day. Next up, several species of birds keep cool by pooping on themselves. It's called heroijosis, and it's how some birds like storks, condors, flamingos, and vultures keep cool. It seems to do the same thing as sweating, except that instead of sweat, these birds dribble poop down their legs.
Hey, man. But there's something new every day. Birds poop on themselves to keep themselves cool. He said 7 species. You're going to have to look that up. Because I never do that.
And they didn't get a scientific name for hundreds of years, literally because the sailors traveling with them kept eating them before they made it back to London. So the giant tortoise population in Hispaniola Island was down ghastly. We're talking 12 females and 2 males away from getting discontinued permanently. That wasn't until they found a 3rd male, Diego. Diego peeped the census and knew what time it was. He locked in. They said, go Diego, go, and he came and went, and came, and went, and came, and then went.
Okay.
3 males were brought into the breeding program to try to save the species, and Diego proceeded to score a career high in spreading thighs. More rounds than Nick's cannon, the shell hefner got so active that he spawned over 900 children and fathered 40% of the turtles born in the breeding program. Immortalizing him as a tortoise that laid so much pipe, he carried the species. But there's something I didn't tell you. I said there were 3 males, but it was really Diego and friend, because turtle number 3 literally couldn't get laid if his species depended on it. Boy is more interested in Diego, but speaking of Diego, remember, I said 40%. That means turtle number 2 put in more work than he did. That turtle was E5, and I'm not a mathematologist, but numbers say he contributed 60%. But apparently, because Diego was a bigger and louder personality, he stole all the clout. Being named E5 probably didn't help. Either way, the turtle tag team saved their entire species, which now has more than 2,300 on the island. And both tortoises have since retired, and were returned back to Hispaniola to live with their turtle progeny, almost 80 years after they were first recruited. Moral of the story? Closed mouths don't get fed, especially when you're named after one of Elon's kids.
Just putting up freaking numbers, bro. They carried into these species, man. They saved them all. Tag team too, bro.
Was Buddha considered a Christian saint? The Eastern Orthodox Church and the Catholic Church both honor 2 saints named Balaam and Josaphat. On closer inspection, the story of this Indian prince, Josaphat, appears strikingly similar to the life of Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. But how did this come to be? Well, the story originates from an early Christian adaptation of Siddhartha Gautama's life. As Buddhism traveled through Central Asia, its teachings spread along the trade routes to the Middle East. Here it was adapted into other belief systems like Manichaeism. In the 8th century, Islamic scholars translated a Buddha biography into Arabic as Kitab Bilawar wa Buddhasaf, which means the Book of Bilawar and Buddhasaf. By the 11th century, it was translated into Greek, where it became known as Balaam and Josaphat. This adaptation recast the Buddha story into a Christian moral tale, with Josaphat as a prince who renounces wealth after guidance from Balaam, a Christian hermit. This version aligned with the Christian teachings on renunciation and devotion.
Artifact porn, part
Okay.
30.
Nice
This
little
is an
things.
ancient burial mound in Marathon, Greece, that contains the ashes of 192 Athenians who perished in the Battle of Marathon more than 2,500 years ago. Here's an extremely rare surviving piece of Tyrian purple dye that was found in the remains of an ancient Roman bathhouse. The color was used to create the famed purple clothing of Roman emperors and was extremely difficult to make. Just 1 ounce of Tyrian dye took 250,000 snails to produce, as it was said to be worth more than 3 times its weight in gold. These photos show the incredible evolution of ancient Greek statues over the span of just a few hundred years. Just this past summer, a tourist at a beach in Bulgaria noticed a beach bar table that looked considerably old. Law enforcement soon called in some archaeologists who eventually identified the item as a 1700-year-old ancient Roman sarcophagus. Information about the artifact's history and how it ended up on a beach resort remain unclear.
That's the true question. How did it end up there?
Know the chilling child abduction story behind the Amber Alert system?
No.
It was January the 13th, 1996 in Arlington, Texas. Amber Hagerman was just 9 years old. She'd been biking around the area near to her nan's house with her 5-year-old brother Ricky. She had a new bike that she'd been given for Christmas, so she was really enjoying playing on it. Now the pair were cycling up and down. They weren't going too far, but it was obviously a different time back then, and children used to just play freely outside. However, within seconds, this innocent bike ride would turn deadly. Ricky told his family later that he saw his sister bike into a car park and then vanish. Another eyewitness from the scene saw much more than that. A man in his 70s reported seeing the child get grabbed by a man in a black truck. The man looked in his 20s or 30s, according to the witness. The witness then obviously promptly phoned police. Despite a big search for the little girl, they had absolutely no idea where she'd gone. They kept hunting and found nothing until a dog walker stumbled upon something horrific 4 days later. Tragically, in a nearby creek was little Amber's body. She'd been stripped and her throat cut by either a knife or a screwdriver. Her body was found less than 5 miles away from where she was snatched. Now, police desperately searched for leads but came up with absolutely nothing. The local community were really anxious to try and do something to help. In the absence of being able to track down Amber's killer, a local woman, Diane Simone, rang into a local radio station. She wondered if a national alert system could be created to send information to people about missing children, like they do for severe weather warnings. With that, the AMBER system was born. The acronym stood for America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response. Tragically, Amber's murder still remains unsolved 28 years later. However, the Amber Alert created in her honor has gone on to save many more children who may have otherwise ended up dead.
2024 just got even crazier. Part 17. Firstly, just recently, while a tourist was at a beach bar in Bulgaria, he noticed that the table they were using looked odd. And it looked so odd, he called the authorities. Well, it turned out they were actually using a 1,700-year-old Roman coffin as a table. Yeah, the table was then taken away by the authorities, and my question is, how did they even come across this ancient artifact?
Yeah.
Next, the Mountain Dew just announced that they are changing their logo back to their similar retro style on all of their products by 2025. You know, this is one of the first logo changes I actually like. Finally, just a couple weeks ago, the world's fattest cat, named Crumbs, who was 38 pounds, was sent to a fat camp to help Crumbs lose weight. Well, unfortunately, the fat camp was just too much for Crumbs, and Crumbs died after just weeks of being at the fat camp. R.I.P. Crumbs, what did they do to you?
R.P. Crumbs, man, down below, bro. How he get sent to a fat camp? He's supposed to lose weight, not lose everything, man. That's crazy.
Crazy tech facts you won't believe. Google rents goats to mow their lawns instead of machines. Over 90% of the world's currency only exists in digital form. The first computer virus was created in 1983. The first camera took 8 hours to capture a single photo. Can you believe we used to wait 8 hours for a single photo? Now with Send It, you can create AI images of yourself in seconds. It turns your Ask Me Anything answers into AI pictures. Someone asked me where I'd love to travel to, and Send It made this. You have to try this out. Download Send It and unlock your AI clone. Things that have been banned across the world,
Okay.
Part 3. Japan made obesity illegal in 2008. Iceland made strip clubs illegal in 2010. China made time travel illegal in 2011. Blue
Ooh.
jeans have been banned in North Korea since 2010.
Blue Jeans, man. Don't they have, like, I'm about to say, isn't it a music group named Blue Jeans? The reason I know that's because, you know, FaZe Jason, bro, he blew up the freaking TikTok that went viral with the Blue Jeans song, so. But they freaking banned Blue Jeans in 2010. Time travel in China 2011. What they hiding from us, bro? And obesity's illegal in Japan. That's crazy that they made obesity illegal, bro.
18-year-old girl named Donna lived with her father, and ever since her mother died, she depended on her father for everything. One day, Donna's father left for a business trip and said he wouldn't be back until later that night. Later that day, Donna got home from school and watched TV, and when the clock struck midnight, she noticed her father wasn't back, so she went to bed. That night, Donna had a dream where she was standing on a busy highway. She then saw her father trying to yell something to her. She couldn't hear him, but noticed he looked sad and was desperately trying to communicate with her. She could barely make out what he was saying, but it sounded like, "Don't open the door." Donna then woke up to someone ringing the doorbell. She then went to the door and looked through the peephole and saw her father's face outside. He was staring right at her and the doorbell was still ringing. She was about to open the door when she looked through the peephole again and noticed her father's eyes were wide open and he looked terrified. The doorbell then continued ringing as Donna begged her dad to answer. She then yelled, "I'm not opening the door until you answer me." The doorbell kept ringing, but her father refused to answer her. Donna then sat in the corner next to the door crying and listening to the doorbell ringing. She then fell asleep and woke up in the morning. She then got up and looked through the peephole and her father was still there. She then opened the door and saw something truly horrifying. Her father's severed head was hanging from a nail above the door and there was a note attached to the doorbell that said, "Clever girl."
Don't open that door, man, unless you hear a response. That's the moral of the story, that what I took from it. You never know who's lurking. That's an edit, bro. We see through that.
Will blow your mind. In a world's first, researchers at Osmo Labs have achieved the teleportation of smell. I mean, do you realize how crazy that is? Let me put it this way. So, as of right now, humans have only figured out how to teleport two of our senses. Sound, you know, with the telephone or speakers, and images with the screens that we look at all day. And we've done that because we've discovered a way to capture those senses digitally and then turn them into data that we can then send instantly. But now, they've managed to do that with smell. So hypothetically, once they're able to replicate this process on machines outside of the lab, not only one day could you send someone a smell like you send them an image or a voice note. Oh my lord, the businesses that are going to come out of that one, I'll let the comments handle that. But also, and here's the craziest part, they say that by digitizing scent, they've effectively given computers a new sense. You better wake up in 2030 and your iPhone's going to tell you you stink. Go get a shower. Now the first smell they ever digitized was fresh plum. They captured the scent molecules in a digital format and then reprinted the exact same smell on the other side of the room, which came out looking like a regular clear liquid. And I guess that begs the question, what's going to happen to all of these expensive colognes once you can immediately reproduce them? Osmo Labs CEO on Twitter said, "Holy moly, I am still processing the magnitude of what we've done."
19-year-old woman whose body was found burned inside one of these walk-in ovens in Walmart. Let's hear what the employees have to say about all of this.
Okay, these ovens are so hard to shut from the outside. You have to push them. I'll show you.
Okay.
See that? You have to push it to click it. Now, watch me walk in. Look, I can touch both sides. You can touch both sides. You scrape the floor. You have to clean the floor all the time. There's no way this door, they're not self-shutting. You could even say you swing it open too hard when you get something out of the oven. Let's see what happens.
Alright. Not closing.
It's one of the good ovens I've worked with. I've worked at 7 different stores over the 8 years. They're in our are stores where they don't even latch. You have to hold it shut while it bakes for 30 minutes. There are stores where it pops open, you have to shut it, pops open, shut it, pops open, shut it. There is no way that this girl locked herself into one of these ovens while cleaning it. No way possible. There's no way possible. Let me just show you the emergency button.
Emergency button 2?
Pops the door open. Pops the door open. In my opinion, there's no way she did that on her own.
So I've been seeing plenty of these videos where Walmart employees are showing us how these walk-in ovens work. But just to be clear, all the ovens in these Walmarts, depending on the location, are a bit different. They're not identical, but a lot of the features are almost the same. Something I consistently hear from the Walmart employees is that the door does not close on its own. Unless you try to close it with a lot of force, it doesn't just close and lock. There's also this inside the door, so if anyone was to get stuck, they can just easily open it and get out. Every video that I've watched created by a Walmart employee who works with these walk-in ovens insinuate that this young woman did not get stuck and that something else happened.
What do you guys think? Something else happened?
By growing brains in a jar and connecting them to a computer made from stem cells that were stimulated in a special way to form neural tissue, which grew and eventually formed structures and even brainwave activity similar to that of a premature human baby. They then hooked up this brain into a computer, connecting it into a virtual world where it learned to play Pong completely from scratch. I want you to realize what this means. Like, this isn't a computer bot that was pre-programmed to know exactly how to play the game. That's easy. It's an organic brain that they grew themselves that was given Pong with no instructions, and it just taught itself how to play. Which is honestly nothing new. That's just AI. But this is organic AI, which happens to learn quicker and is also more energy efficient than traditional AI. It learned to play Pong in about 10 to 15 rallies, when a regular computer AI would take around 5,000. Albeit the computer AI can simulate those 5,000 rallies much quicker, but that takes a lot more computing power, which is sort of our main bottleneck with AI at the moment. Energy. This is organoid intelligence. Take human brain cells, grow them in a petri dish, and then use computers to train them just like AI. Naturally, there are ethical concerns rising as there is surmounting evidence showing us that these are conscious, like a human. Even the scientists working on it themselves admit these organoids are sentient. They took it a step further and tested out these organoid brains inside real physical robots, feeding them the sensory input of everything the robot experiences. And since the computer chip running it is organic brain matter, this technically, by definition, is a cyborg. Then there are companies like Final Spark that let you rent server space on these organoid brains, which essentially act like organic CPUs. You can even see live streams of the brain computers you're renting out. And now this next part right here, what they're doing here might actually prove simulation theory. So they have this virtual butterfly simulation that's controlled by the organoid brains, meaning the brains feel and experience everything the butterflies do. Again, the brains weren't trained or programmed how to be a butterfly. Just like they did with Pong, they were just fed the sensory feelings of being butterflies and kind of figured out themselves how to flap their wings and just exist. Much the same way you weren't pre-programmed to walk or talk. You experienced sensory inputs in the forms of sight, sounds, touch, and learned. Taught yourself along the way. This is an organic brain being fed computer data to make it believe it actually exists in a simulated world, and it's also likely sentient. This company essentially just created the Matrix for butterflies, and its consciousness is available for you to rent out. And when no one's using it, it still just continues to exist with no human interaction whatsoever. If the brains really are conscious, as the scientists suggest, they're not going to know they're this organoid computer brain in a lab hooked up to a virtual simulation. They're going to believe that they really are that butterfly. If that's the case, what's stopping all of us from being our own organoid brains in some lab in a different dimension? Meaning this, everything we see and experience right now is our own simulation that we've been plugged into, except we're not butterflies, we're humans. And everything we do, every decision we make is not by our own free will, but by some, I don't know, fifth dimensional entity renting server space in our brains. Just the same way this Final Spark neural platform lets us do. And when we sleep, maybe our idle brain computational power is used for other purposes, which we experience as dreams. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. You gotta sleep tonight. Are we really brain organoids, existing in our own petri dishes, connected to and experiencing a fully virtual, simulated world? Because we just pulled it off. off. And according to simulation theory, if we're capable of creating virtual simulated realities, then chances are we're already living in one.
He was spitting, bro. Gave me some new information, man. I'm definitely going to dive into, man. Are we in a reality, bro? Living a fake reality?
Lady married her dead boyfriend. In 1978, in a small town in Ohio, there was a woman named Linda Smith who was head over heels in love with her boyfriend. They had talked about marriage endlessly, but just weeks before their wedding, her boyfriend tragically died in a car accident. Linda was devastated. Her boyfriend named Lemmy Leaf was the best boyfriend ever to her. One evening, Linda couldn't take it anymore, and she dug up her boyfriend's grave with the help of her two brothers. She announced she was still going to marry him. The townspeople were baffled, and some thought grief had driven her mad. Linda planned an eerie wedding party and invited everyone, wearing a white dress beside Max's corpse in a suit. Then came the twist. Linda didn't plan on returning her boyfriend to his grave. Instead, she decided that they will live together and have a family. All her friends and family saw her as a mad woman, but she didn't care. She kept her boyfriend inside a refrigerator and would occasionally bring him out for a walk. About 11 months later, she got pregnant. But you already know how she got that child.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. Laura says that she works in a palliative unit, and many dying patients claim to see nuns. The nuns are said to be dressed in all white or all black. She said that many patients' last words before they died were related to the nuns. She said that one time a patient told her, "Will you tell the nun to stop waking me up at night?" She kept waking me up to see if I was okay. On another occasion, she asked a patient who he was talking to, and he replied, "The nun sitting over there." One night, Laura was sitting down, and she noticed someone dressed in all black go into a patient's room. She found it odd for a visitor to come in at 2 a.m., especially since the patient never had visitors before. She decided to peek in the room to see who the visitor was, but when she walked in, there was no one there. The patient passed later that night, even though Laura says that when she put him to bed that night, he didn't seem close to death at all. Laura says that it freaks her out when the patients talk about the nuns.
If you hear bones,
the nun is real.
You at night, you better
okay.
The Gashidokaru are a yokai from Japanese folklore dating back 1,000 years. They are described as malevolent skeletal giants that can be as big as 15 times the size of a human. It's said that these giants wander around in the middle of the darkest nights, and if they see a human, they'll sneak up behind them. The last thing the victim will hear is the clinking of bones and the chattering of teeth before the Gashidokaru reaches down with its skeleton hands to crush them, bite off their head to drink their blood. According to the folklore, these things are created when people died from war and famine and didn't receive a proper burial. Unable to move on, their souls become angry ghosts, and when hundreds of them gather together, their hatred ferments and twists into this supernatural force, bringing the bones of the deceased together into this gigantic and horrific form. They're thought to be indestructible, so the only way to ward them off is with a Shinto charm. But what do you think of the Gashidokaru? Make sure to leave a comment and like and follow this channel for more 4TN content.
I think the Gashidokaru, boy, if I've ever heard of that freaking anime called Attack on Titan, I'm guessing that's where it took the inspiration from, because those designs are kind of similar, bro. Hey, man, like we said, we finding out, watching these videos together, that all pieces of media, man, they originate from somewhere, bro. Folklore, rumors, legends. That's what I learned, bro, watching these videos together with you guys. Edit.
Imagine going into surgery to try to fix a condition, but you actually come out looking much worse. Well, that's exactly what happened to 29-year-old Kayla Cannon. She was born with congenital ptosis, which is basically a condition where your eyes droop, and she wanted to fix this problem, so she went to a specialist, and then she came out looking like this. Kayla decided to get this procedure done with Dr. Harvey Chip Cole, who's located in Atlanta. This doctor made a ton of mistakes during this procedure, one of them being removing half half of her eyelids, which caused a lot of tightness and left her looking like this. After the botched surgery, Kayla had a serious infection and could barely close her eyes because of how tight they were. And she had to undergo 7 additional surgeries to correct the damage, and she was left with these permanent scars. Kayla's devastated because she feels like she went through this procedure only to look worse than what she did, and this is the first time that this doctor did something like this. This is another patient who was also botched, and she came out right after Kayla spoke out about this doctor, and the crazy thing about this is that he is still practicing.
Take his license away.
Disturbing backstories. This might look like a normal family photo, but the reality is terrifying. The man in the yellow sweater is named John, and he's holding a baby named Heather. Heather grew up thinking she was adopted by John's brother, making John her uncle. But one day, a phone call changed everything. She had overheard a phone call saying her uncle was arrested. John Edward Robinson was connected to the deaths of multiple missing women, including 19-year-old Lisa Stassi, who was last seen with her 4-month-old daughter Tiffany, who went missing. And that's when Heather realized she's Tiffany. The man she thought was her uncle was actually her mother's killer. John had faked adoption papers and tricked his own brother into adopting his victim's daughter. And for 15 years, no one knew the truth. Follow for more.
Did you know
he never
Ronald
knew.
McDonald is no longer the mascot of McDonald's because of a chilling incident in 2010? This terrifying tale took place in Cuernavaca, Mexico. At a local McDonald's, a statue of Ronald McDonald sat on a bench, a popular spot for photos. Everything seemed normal until one night, when 2 gas station workers from across the street decided to take a break. One went to the bathroom while the other sat next to Ronald, saying, "I'm tired." To his horror, Ronald replied, "Me too." The man, stunned and terrified, leapt from the bench and suffered a fatal heart attack. Hearing the commotion, the second worker rushed out of the bathroom. He saw something so terrifying that he shared the story with everyone he could. However, days later, he fell into a coma and passed away. McDonald's allegedly erased the security footage from the gas station's cameras and quietly removed most of the Ronald statues. This eerie event might explain Ronald McDonald's near disappearance from the brand.
I'm about to show you one of the
I've always wondered, why he's like evaporated from the brand. Maybe something, I don't know if it was like remote activated but had automated responses, but that's sure, that's a solid reason why they got rid of him. Or did something else happen?
most interesting graves in Texas. It's in the Texas State Cemetery in Austin. I visited the other day. It was a cold, dark day. If you walk into the cemetery, you'll notice all the Texas flags and the Texas monuments. These people that were buried here were proud to be Texans. But if you keep walking, you'll notice the Confederate field where Confederate soldiers are buried, and right next to that is the grave of Albert Sidney Johnson. He was at one point considered the strongest general in the Confederacy. He was killed possibly by one of his own troopers. He was killed during the Civil War at the Battle of Shiloh, possibly by one of his own soldiers, and his body was initially buried in New Orleans, but he was moved back to Texas. In 1905, a sculptor was hired to create this monument, and let me tell you, it's eerie because it depicts Albert Sidney Johnson exactly how he looked as he lay dying on the day of his death. It's an eerie monument, it's life-size, it's right in the shadow of Stephen F. Austin's grave at the top of the hill here at the cemetery, and it's very, very, very interesting to see in person.
He's pointing at it. Like, is it connected or something? The whole sculpture, the last moment of before you leave the world, that's definitely eerie.
I don't know if you guys know who these people are, but this is Alana and Brock, and they have a family vlogging channel. They live in Australia, and Alana makes a ton of TikToks about her daughter, Daisy, and how she's sick. Okay? It has just been found that her daughter does not have all of these sicknesses that they previously thought she did, and she was actually being poisoned. Now, Alana had just come on TikTok not too long ago crying and saying how her daughter had brain tumors all through her scans, and her daughter has been sick for a very, very long time. It was found that increased high levels of benzodiazepines were found in Daisy's bloodstream that was leading to her sicknesses. Alana has been profiting off of Daisy's sickness. She has GoFundMe pages, all of her TikToks that are now deleted, the whole page is deleted. all of it has been her doing this to her daughter, allegedly. Daisy's dad said he had no clue about any of this, and the children, because they had multiple kids, were taken out of their care, and right now Daisy is recovering.
So Amy Slayton from
Clout was dangerous, man.
Sisters was just arrested, and the way she was arrested is an actual fever dream. Like, honestly, I feel bad because if this goes the wrong way, she could lose custody of her children. So on Labor Day, Amy Slayton, her boyfriend, and 2 children went to a safari park in Alamo, Tennessee. It's basically like a drive-through zoo where you can feed the animals and pet them if they let you. We don't know exactly how it went down yet, but sources are saying that Amy was bit by one of the camels. I don't know if the injury was so bad that Amy called the police or if it's just the park's policy to call the authorities anytime someone is bit by an animal, but the police were called, and when they approached Amy's car, they immediately smelled some green flour, if you know what I mean, and when the authorities looked inside, they allegedly saw the flour and some special mushrooms in plain sight. Amy and her boyfriend Brian Lavorne faced charges of illegal possession of Schedule 1 and Schedule 6, and because the children were in the car, they also faced 2 counts of child endangerment. We know that the children are safe and staying with Amy's family members, but Tennessee's Child Protective Services are still investigating, so this could end very badly for Amy. And as of now, I'm pretty sure Amy is still in the Crockett County Jail on a $10,000 bond. I am unaware if Thousand Pound Sisters is even filming right now, but if you are, let me know in the comments.
Oh, they're TV stars, what the hell?
Out loud, you might die. Hello, my name is Tamino, the creator of the poem Tamino's Hell. I was a boy who lived in Japan. I had very strict parents who would commonly give me cruel and unfair punishments, and was beat by my sisters. One day, I wrote this poem about my journey through hell, fueled by my sisters. But be careful, do not read it out loud. My parents found this poem and dragged me to the cellar and locked me in for several days. They did not bring me food or water, and I passed away due to starvation. My spirit now haunts this poem, and anyone who reads it out loud will be cursed with the same feelings of helplessness and despair that I once felt, as well as extremely bad luck, including accidents, sudden illness, or loss of their voice, and eventually, loss of life. So don't risk it, and always remember...
Dirty Facts About History That They'll Never Teach You in School, Part 4. In her famous diary, Anne Frank originally wrote many explicit details involving her lady part's menstruation and pleasuring herself. Her father, Otto, cut those parts out. John Harvey Kellogg, one of the Kellogg brothers who invented breakfast cereal, advocated for sewing silver wires through boys' foreskins to prevent them from masturbating. In 1969, Yoko Ono released a film entitled Self-Portrait, consisting of a 42-minute shot of her husband John Lennon's semi-erect member. Following its initial screening, the film was never shown again. Often referred to as the father of vegetarianism, Sylvester Graham shunned alcohol, white bread, meat, and lust. He popularized whole grain food products and originally invented the graham cracker in the early 1800s to stop people from masturbating or having sexual desires. In 1851, Graham died of complications from an opium enema at the age of 57.
Damn, he was still young, man. Those facts blow my damn mind. People back in the day were had some extreme methods, man. To say the least.
This man vanished in the 90s, and then 30 years later, mysteriously showed back up on his family's doorstep with no explanation. This is the bizarre case of Vasile Gorgos. In 1991, Vasile Gorgos, a 63-year-old cattle seller from eastern Romania, disappeared without a trace after leaving for a business trip. Through his work in the cattle business, he would frequently travel to other cities. He bought a train ticket as he usually did and told his wife and kids he'd be back in a few days. He left that day, but never returned. His family reported him missing to the authorities, but after months of searching, they feared the worst. Police theorized he met with foul play, and his relatives knew he wouldn't intentionally run away as he had a family and worked extremely hard for his cattle business. It was ultimately determined that he most likely passed, and his family held a memorial service for him. Fast forward to August 2021, it was a quiet Sunday afternoon when an unknown vehicle stopped in front of the Gorgos home. An older man stepped out as the car quickly sped away, and to everyone's shock, who got out of the car? It was Vasile.
His family was in complete shock. He was now 93 years old. He was clean and wearing the same clothes he wore 30 years prior when he went on that ill-fated trip. Along with his clothing, they also found that train ticket he bought 30 years ago, along with some identification. But he barely recognized his family, and seems to have no memory of where he's been the past 30 years. He seems to remember events before the time he disappeared, but nothing from the 30 years he was missing. And after the media got a hold of this story, people had so many questions. As for the car that dropped him off that day and sped away, neighbors said they weren't able to get the license plate or see what the driver looked like. This is one of the strangest stories I've ever heard, and many like myself wonder what happened and who dropped him off that day. Some have pointed to him possibly having another family. Others have speculated a glitch in the universe or time travel. Personally, I am stumped. What are your theories? Where was he those 30 years?
It's a glitch, bro. Like they said, glitch in the matrix. Something happened, bro. That much time
You're out
gone.
and about and see a duplicate of yourself standing in front of you. And I'm sorry, my friend, but the end is near. Well, at least according to Irish folklore. You see, today we're looking at an entity called the Fetch. Now, the Fetch is a very simple concept. It's an exact duplicate of you. Though its appearance is regarded as an omen, usually indicating that your time is near, my friend. Though according to some, the time of day a fetch appears completely changes what it's meant to be indicating. So if you see a fetch in the morning, according to some, it's actually a good sign indicating a long life. This folklore series is quite fun, isn't it? Are you ready for the next episode?
I'm going to warn everybody right now, the case that we're about to cover is easily one of the most disturbing true crime stories I've ever heard in my life, so viewer discretion is really advised for this one. This is Kevin Davis. He was 18 years old back in 2014 when this horrific event took place. Kevin lived here in Corpus Christi, Texas, and shared an apartment with his mother, Kimberly, and his sister, Destiny. On May 26, 2014, Kevin snapped. He had been having homicidal thoughts for a long time, but on that particular day, he decided to bring his dreams and his fantasies into reality. On that morning, Kevin told his mother, Kimberly, that he wanted to unalive himself, and she told him that she couldn't stop him if he wanted to. After hearing this unexpected response from his mother, Kevin went into a rage. He grabbed a cord and attempted to strangle his mother on the couch where she was sitting. But his mom, Kimberly, managed to fight him off, and in a panic, Kevin went into the other room and grabbed a hammer. Now this is where it gets really disturbing, so if you're still here with me and you have a weak stomach, don't keep listening. Kevin then bashed his own mother's skull in with the hammer, hitting her at least 20 times, and he then grabbed a knife from the kitchen and inserted the knife into the head wound. At that point, Kimberly's head was opened up, she had a massive head wound, and her brain was exposed, and Kevin stuck his hand into his own mother's head and played with her brains. He later told detectives that it felt like putty. Now, after his mother was dead, Kevin dragged her corpse into another room and her, which is unbelievably shocking and disgusting. After all this was said and done, he went to a neighbor's house, told them to call 911, told them that he had just murdered someone, and he was arrested without incident. When Kevin ultimately arrived at the police station, he was brutally honest with investigators about his crimes. I listened to the entire interrogation, and I cannot unhear some of the things that he told investigators. It's vile and shocking. But at one point, he smiles at the investigators with a little grin and says, "Yes, I guess I lost my..." to a corpse. After his trial, he was handed down a sentence of life in prison. He's still alive, he's still in Texas right now, and he even admitted to investigators that if he was given the chance, if he were out on the street again, he would kill again. I'm sorry to have to fill your guys' minds with this stuff, but this is a truly disturbing case that I can't stop thinking about because of how horrific it is, and yeah, I cannot believe that this happened.
No words for that case, man. Speechless. Let's look at that.
This case is considered law enforcement's most baffling case. Jason Jolkowski was born on June 24th of 1981. Jason's parents were Jim and Kelly. Jason was incredibly loved, and he would become a big brother when his little brother, Michael, was born. Jason was more of a quiet kid. He didn't really have like a huge group of friends. He was very mindful about the people he let into his life, so he did have a small group of friends, and he was very loyal to them. But Jason was also incredibly intelligent. He had dreams of being a radio DJ, and he did work part-time while he was in college as a DJ, and people said that when he was on radio, he became very peppy and lively. Like, it was a completely different personality. He was very talented at being a DJ. He was currently taking a break from his classes at the community college he was going to in Iowa because his parents simply could not afford it. But he very much planned on going back to school. He had just recently gotten another job that offered tuition reimbursement, and he was very excited to continue his studies so he could become a radio DJ. But on top of wanting to be a radio DJ, he also was very religious and talked about maybe one day becoming a priest. Jason was not the kind of kid that was involved in partying or drugs. He was a very studious and responsible young man. But before he was starting this new job, he was currently working a job at Fazoli's. On June 13th of 2001, Jason was called into work. His boss called him and asked if he would come into work early that day at Fazoli's. Jason agreed to this, but his car was currently in the shop getting work done to it, so he told his boss that he would just walk to work, which would have been about 4 miles away from his home in Omaha, Nebraska. But his boss said, we have another person coming in, I can have them come pick you up and take them to work. So Jason agreed to meet with this person at the high school that both him and his coworker had gone to school at. This would have been about 8 blocks away from his house, or half a mile. They agreed to meet at the school at 11 a.m. and the last known sighting of Jason was about 10:45 in the morning when their neighbor saw Jason and his younger brother Michael taking the trash cans from the street back to the garage. This would have been about 10:45. Jason is then seen walking toward his high school right after taking these trash cans back from the curb to the house. And sometime in this 10-minute walk, it would have been about 10 minutes to get from his house to the high school, Jason simply vanishes. We'll get into more in part 2. Give me a couple of minutes to film it and get it up. It'll be down in the comments.
That's a shapeshifter. Story time. Growing up in Haiti, or anyone who has Haitian parents can tell you that there is such a thing as shapeshifters, lugauts in Haiti. And that is the reason why they also tell you whenever you hear a cat sounding like that outside your house at a certain time at night, you should not go outside to go see what's wrong with the cat, because usually it's not a cat, and you will not live to see or tell the story of what you would witness. So I remember one time we were all in the house. It was late, very, very late. Usually we will stay up even though we cannot be outside at a certain time. If you go to Haiti, you should always listen to the locals when they tell you do not go at a certain area, to a certain area, or at a certain time go outside. Because trust me, you won't make it back in the house. And I'm not even over-exaggerating. But anyway, so we were all in the house. We were young, but there was a bunch of grown-ups in the house also. Everybody's sleeping, and we were all waking up by this big boom that was on top of the house. And in Haitian houses, in Haiti, they actually don't have like real like roof like we'd have here, but they have like metals. So any little thing you can hear it. Even if the rain, we usually were able to fall asleep with the rain sound because it's just so loud and it's so soothing and all that stuff. But when the nightmare starts, trust me, you will hear every single thing. So we're sleeping and we're all waking up at this boom. Even the children, you know how children can sleep real well, right? They sleep through everything. We all were waking up. But the grown-ups already know because they're so used to it. And also we know a well-known lugau in the town that everybody could respect because we know how powerful she is. And a lot of people have been taken out by her, but they can never prove that it was her until one day. Okay. So anyways, we're all sleeping and we're waking up by the sound, and we just hear footsteps on top of the house just walking as if like it's like, you know, grains falling in the house, but it's like real loud footsteps, just walking, and all the adults just start praying, and the children were just scared because we're so used to hearing stories about that happening, and eventually it happened to us. So we're like scared, and the adults are praying, even though like voodoo is a religion in Haiti. They still pray. A lot of people pray but still practice voodoo because that's really our religion. Just like the Catholic people, they also practice voodoo, but also they tell you that it's bad. Anyways, so they're praying. The children are trying to figure out what's going on. While the baby, my aunt had a baby that was just a few weeks old, not even a month, a few weeks old. The baby just kept crying non-stop. And they usually, whenever they come in on top of your house, they're coming for the baby, not children who are a certain age. They're coming for the innocent, right? So the baby's crying. The people are praying, so there's a lot going on, and the noise on top and everything. All of a sudden, the noise stopped, but we hear a cat right by the door, literally right at the door, right? This cat just sounded like a baby. It's literally almost matching the sound of the baby that's crying. The cat sounded like a baby, scratching at the door, making noises, scratching at the door, making noises, and that's when the prayers started louder and louder. And eventually the children fell asleep because the cat just kept going. I fell asleep because I was young at the time. Then eventually we heard the story the next day, but then what really made us believe it is what we saw the next day, what we experienced the next day. So we fell asleep. The adults, I guess, continue to do whatever they're doing. The next day we wake up to the horror of everything. The baby that was crying was basically covered in ants, covered head to toe, ants eating the baby's skin, everything. I mean, I should have given you guys a warning. Eating everything. But of course, everything is still intact, but the skin is ant mark, bite marks from the ants. Baby, gone. Pass. Don't know why, don't know how, but the baby's gone. What happened last night happened. Next morning, wake up, baby's gone. And that was the first child that my aunt lost. And then finally after that, she just kept losing children up until 7 kids. She lost 7 kids until she actually stopped having kids. Every time one passed, she has another one. Every time one passed, I'm like, as someone who has common sense, you would think, okay, I'll stop after maybe the 3rd or 4th one. Well, she just kept having children. Eventually, she decided, okay, well, I'm not going to have any more kids if I'm going to keep losing them. But when she had her first son, which is the oldest child, that child survived because she didn't live in the house. She didn't live in that town when she had that child, so that child survived. But eventually, she lost her life to the same thing. And also, I lost my godmom to the same thing. I have a story for that. Also, my older sister who lives right now in the United States, we almost lost her to a neighbor who was practicing brujeria, voodoo. Very good person, good people, but it was a mistake that happened, and we were able to figure it all out. If you guys want to hear about that story, I will tell you. But my mom even sent money for us to buy like coffin for her, preparing for her funeral and everything. Now she's a nurse. Anyway, guys, bye.
Whoa. I mean, that's a shocking story, Seekers. Like I said, we heard that cat sounding like, it definitely was sounding like a person, man. She broke it down for us. What do you guys think, man? We've seen like skinwalkers before, but they said this is shapeshifter, so are they like different things? 2 separate things? Talk about it down below.
Story time on the time that I saw my neighbor who had already passed away going to go get water while I was on my way back from getting water to go to the house. And when I got to the house, I found out that she had passed away that morning, and I didn't even know that. So this was kind of crazy. I'm laughing because I couldn't sleep for a good month and a half after all this happened, right? So I told the story during Halloween a couple years ago on YouTube, and the feedback was crazy. So I figured I'll just bring it back since TikTok people don't know about it. So going back to Haiti, I was very, very young. We had this neighbor that used to sell those things that you will light up at night if you have mosquitoes. They shake like a snake. I don't know what they're called. Maybe if you know, let me know in the comment below. But she used to sell those things, and one day she just felt sick. Very, very sick. We just never saw her. We will go to her. So every time we order, this person will come to the door and give us what we need. But Sister Mary, which is the lady who always gives us the things that we need, just hasn't been showing up. But as a child, I'm like, okay, well, it's her house. Maybe she's either in the house, don't want to come out, or she went to the next town over to go visit her family. And hey, that's a normal thing. You can just go visit your family for like 6 months and then come back, right?
Okay.
So eventually my aunt came into told us that Sister Mary, that was her name, is not feeling well. She's at home, but she's just not feeling well. As children, we just let it go. Okay, well, Sister Mary's sick, whatever. Well, one day, I was sent to get water. It was my turn to go get water. So the way to go get water is basically, it's like 15 minutes away, but you do carry the water, and we take turn in the house as children. They sent different people different days, right? So this one particular day, it was early in the morning, they sent me to go get water. I'd say maybe, well, not really early, it was summertime. I'd say around like 10, 11. They sent me to go get water. I went to go collect water.
Right.
And as I was coming back from collecting water, I'm walking down. It's 15-minute walk. I'm carrying the thing on top of my head. I'm walking down, and I saw someone who looks like Sister Mary. And my aunt was saying how frail she was. She's losing a lot of weight, blah, blah, blah. But when I saw this person, she looked just like I remember Sister Mary to be, like how she was before, you know, thick. You know, she wasn't like fat, but she was thick. You know, she looked fine. She looked normal. She didn't look sick. So I saw her. I said hello to her. We're talking. And, you know, I told her, we haven't seen you. We heard that you were sick. Yeah, so we heard that you were sick. How are things doing? You look like you're doing much better now. And she answered me like normal, like someone she knows, right?
Okay.
So I just went on about my business. I told her have a good day. She told me she was going to go collect water, and she had the bucket in her hand and everything. So I told her have a good day, and I continued on my merry way. So I ended up going home that day, and I told my sister, I'm like, yo, you will never guess who I just saw at the water thing, right? So I told her a whole story about this lady that I just saw, and we know her because she's our neighbor. So I'm like, yeah, I saw her. You know, she looked good. I don't know what Aunt was talking about because she doesn't look sick. Her eyes literally opened up as if she just saw a ghost. I'm like, what's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that?
Okay.
She says, oh, nothing. So I'm like, okay. I just went about my day and continued doing whatever I was doing until a few minutes later, I hear people screaming and yelling. Well, the news have been spreading in the whole town that Sister Mary has passed away. I'm looking at my sister and I'm thinking, what the fuck? What do you mean Sister Mary passed away? I just saw Sister Mary. What do you mean? And she looked fine.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's yelling. Nobody's telling me what's going on. And then finally, my sister told me, oh, yeah, Sister Mary died this morning. I'm like, there's no way. How could Sister Mary die this morning? I just told you I saw her this morning. She's like, well, that's the crazy thing because you're telling me you just saw her and Sister Mary died before you went to go collect water.
Ghost confirmed? Spirit?
From there on, I kid you not, I could not speak. I could not move. Everything was crazy.
Here we go.
Man, what do you guys think about that story? Was that like a ghost or she communicating with spirit or something? Like imagine she was talking to a person but they already passed, so who is she talking to?
Virginia teen
Insane.
dies after she tried to summon the Haitian voodoo god Papalegua. So Love decided to dabble in the darker voodoo arts, but she ain't got no knowledge of how this thing really go. That's why you gotta watch when you practicing something without having a self-evaluation journey that you've been on, you heard me? I don't know why you thought summoning an African descendant god will help you. Papa in Haiti is known as the Great Executioner, and it's said that he could speak many different languages and persuade people at his will. And once again, he resides at the spiritual crossroads. So let me give y'all some insight every time you face with a difficult decision you gotta make. Rather that being life or death decisions or career-based decisions. Quit thinking about calling on some deity gonna point you in the right direction if you haven't done the self-work. Because you could get fooled by a spirit that you might think is holy and lovely for a spirit that's there to take over your will. So she gets in a Facebook group and start telling the people that she's about to start doing new spell work and ain't nothing wrong with trying new things. Alright. And I quote, let people have their own religion. So she started telling people, stop saying I'm from God or you can be from God. I'm wicked and I always will be. So shut the F up and let me do what I want to do. Alright. Now wicked means a religion influenced by pre-Christian beliefs and the practices of Western Europe that affirms the supernatural powers. It's a form of paganism. And this has nothing to do with voodoo practices. So now I guess X wants to get into it and had a fallout. So she get on Facebook talking about she about to go put an X on her ex-girlfriend. Now mind you, her ex-girlfriend is African American. Let me give you a little quick insight on wanting to put spells on people or hex work on people. And they kind of taught you that on Vampire Diaries with Bonnie. Now remember when she spoke with her ancestors and her ancestors told her, if you keep drawing power from your ancestors, it's going to be a blowback to that. Which is why when Bonnie would use her powers, her nose would start bleeding. Because whatever you take from nature, you must replenish back. Which is called the circle of life, baby. Now here's an example up here where somebody also was trying to use that voodoo stuff and it fired back on them. I prayed for lots of money even though I had money. I was greedy and I stopped my voodoo sacrifices. I was punished by losing my leg in an accident. I'm getting money which is worthless to me. I'd rather have my legs back. The woman I wanted to marry left me because of my leg. I lost my promising career and I had to totally change my college studies for a degree that was worthless to me. All because I messed with the spirits. And you keep on playing and not listening, you're gonna learn the hard way, baby. So back to Kate. So now we get a picture where she tried to make a voodoo doll that looked like her. Got the girl hair twisted like dreads. We don't know what petition she wrote. We don't know if she had needles in the doll. She might have even had her real hair samples in the damn doll, you hear me? Now I want to know, baby, what in your right mind think that you can call on an African deity to do some harm to an African person and you are a European woman? In what world do you think that makes sense, baby? Like, come on now, love. And then people tried to warn you before doing this. They told you not to go along with this. They told you not to move forward with this. Practicing other people's African spirituality when you're not African is dangerous. So now I start getting people for. You saw Papa Lego today, huh? You thought you saw him. And that's the problem. You're getting indulged in something where you never was initiated inside the culture, mama. You gotta think, man. Nah, Kayla was a beautiful woman, had a beautiful soul. She done a lot for her community. She was a stand-up woman. She just got involved in some things without the proper knowledge that led to some bad outcome. Nah, so Caitlin eventually died in the bathtub, and she left behind a beautiful daughter named Aaliyah, which is very sad, baby. She adored her daughter greatly. Just for her daughter to have to go through that, prayers and condolences to her family. Now later on, a few spiritual leaders did a reading on the woman and noticed that she wasn't summoning Papa Legua, but Barun. And because of shows like American Horror Story, where they gave you a mixture of Barun and Papa Legua, they had you thinking that he was Papa Legua, but Papa Legua on American Horror Story, that was actually depicted as Barun.
What do you guys think of that story, man? He broke it down. All the way down, man. He went more definite on that story.
Good morning. It's 9:34 in the morning, so it's time for another story. And this time the story is being recorded late because I spent my entire morning talking about the anguish of what it means to be a black woman in America. So today calls for a feel-good story, and I'm going to tell you the most popular folktale in Haiti. That's right.
Okay.
It's The Little Mermaid, but darker. This most likely will be divided in 3 parts or 4 because I'm taking a lot of time to talk about. But just so you understand, the majority of the time the story is being told, the protagonist is a fish. But usually as you grow up, it makes more sense that the protagonist is a mermaid or a merman. Most of the time the protagonist is male because the leading romance protagonist, the second one, is a woman who goes to the water. She's a little girl. But at times you will find that the protagonist is a mermaid, a woman, because the leading person that's going to be the love interest is a little boy. All right, let's get started. The Little Mermaid with a Haitian epice. Also, a lot of Haitians believe in mermaids. So there was a young girl, and we're going to call her Rose, who had a brother named Richard, a younger brother. Every morning they would go to the spring to get water to do their daily chores. Whether that's cooking, cleaning, whatever they needed the water for, they would go to the river to get it. One morning, Rose heads to the river by herself, and as she's getting some water, she has a ring, a silver ring on one of her fingers, obviously, and it slips down and it falls in the stream. Now, she was really fond of this ring, so obviously she's really sad. She's like, oh my god, I lost my ring, why? And then as she's like frantically looking for it, out pops the head. And in this story, I'm going to make him a mermaid. So out pops a little head. And so as the head goes up, she realizes it's a fish. It's a man, but it's a fish. And the fish spits up her ring. So she takes the ring and she thanks the fish. And the fish
shockingly to her, speaks. The fish says, "Hi, I'm Tizan." And she says, "Hi, I'm Rose." Tizan says, "This is my water. This is my spring. If you want water, like clean water, because your water is clean, but I know where the real good shit is. If you want better water, you could just holler at me and I'll go get it for you." And she goes, "Oh, thank you. But how do I holler at you?" And so he teaches her this little song. And so he goes, "If you ever need to reach me, sing this song. Tizan, Tizan, mon ami, Tizan. Tizan, Tizan, mon ami, Tizan." You get it? It literally translates to Tizan, Tizan, my friend, Tizan. But in the book, she has it written in a more like, I don't know. She has it written how she wants. But that's how I remember the song. Part 2.
So, this happened in Miami. And yeah, I still live in Miami. I was like around 6 or 7. This was like back in 2000, I think 2006, I believe. So, we used to stay in this building. And in the building, it used to be full of Haitians, full of Haitians. If you're Haitian and you know what's a lugawu, then you know what I mean. So, it was one night, it was me and my brother, we was in the room, we was sleeping, my mama and my dad was in their room.
Okay.
So it was like 2, I would say like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. We sleeping, we little kids, we sleeping, blah, blah. Then randomly something happened. Bruh, something told us to get up. We woke up, literally, me and him woke up. And I swear, bruh, this lugawu lady, bruh, we've been having problems with for the longest. She was in our room. Like, she was literally in our room, bruh. Like, literally in our room. Staring at us. And we was on the wall. The TV right here and the wall right there. And we was stuck on the wall. We don't know what to do. But she was mostly coming from my little brother. Because, my little Lugawus, they like young kids. If they see a beautiful young child, they're going to take them. So, as a big brother, I was not going to let that shit happen. So I fought her. You feel me? I'm getting right with her a little bit. She low-key beat me up. But, I'm getting right with her a little bit. Give her a quick soklo and everything. Damn punch me in my rib. To this day, like, if I'm running so fast, my right hip will start hurting like crazy. So we fighting, boom, boom, boom. My little brother, he yelling. Then I start yelling. Then my mom came, barged in the room. Then she just disappeared, like boom. So my mom was like, okay, my point. A couple days later, man, my auntie, my mom, even my dad, my uncle, they all went after that lady. They whooped that lady out. They banged on the door. They did everything it takes. To this day, bruh, that shit still scarred the fuck out of me. But it's part of being a Haitian, that's what most Haitians go through in life. Most. I can't say all, but most. You feel me? But yes, Lugawus, these vampires in Haiti, that's called Lugawus, they are real. They are real. If you're from Haiti, you know what I mean. Like, even the American kids, Haitian American kids, y'all know what I mean by Lugawus, bro. This shit real. It's real. Like, it's really real. It's not American vampires.
Damn, for the Vampire 7? Like I said, we're checking out a different side of TikTok, so these stories, man, freaking shocking me, bro. Breaking down the culture. But at 7, he had to fight off to protect his brother, and he did it too. Props to him, man.
I have been like damn near harassing me for these.
Lugaws again.
Creepy story time.
Trying to get at
it all
him.
happened in Haiti. My mom was throwing a party, like a little get-together, and everyone was having fun, but it was getting late, so everybody had to go home. After they went home, my mom heard a big sound coming from outside. It sounded like this. Yeah, like
Cow?
a cow. So she went outside to check. She saw a huge cow, the size of the road. No, literally, the size of the road.
What the hell was it doing?
They know exactly why they're scared, but you might not, so let me tell you. Make it a long story short, nobody with that much money is just gonna be handing it around. Oh, it must be juju money. They're not falling for that. But this is not the point of this video. I wanted to make this video to tell you that it is the month of December, quite possibly the worst month of the year for the normal citizens, but the best month of the year for people doing witchcraft. My grandma always told me the month of December is the devil's month. Yeah.
Really?
The devil goes hard on this month of December because it is the last month of the year. So he needs to put in as much work as possible. So my number one advice to you would be, do not, absolutely not, pick up any type of logo from the floor. Yapron, they will get you. And be kind. It goes a very long way.
I know that about the month of December now. I better start paying attention.
Yes, in Haiti, please mind your business. Story time. This one is brought to you by my uncle. This is a Lugawu story, so things might get a little weird, but bear with me. So this lady, we're gonna call her Katya, okay? She is a SW. If you don't know what a SW is, just look it up. But that night, she was out on the street, running the streets, trying to sell some puss. She was standing out there all day. She ain't had no customers. So it's getting late and she's like, you know what, maybe I should leave. But right at the moment that she's thinking that she's gonna leave, this guy in this rich, expensive car pulls up. And for that time, for somebody to have a car like that, that meant that that person had money, okay? It meant that that person meant business. So the car rolls up in front of the SW and he's like, yo, how much for? And she gives him the prices. Depending on what you want, I can provide it for you. He wanted to take her home. He didn't want service on the spot, so he wanted to take her to his house. So she agreed. She gets in his car and they start to drive away. Now the guy, there's really nothing suspicious or off-putting about him, considering like she's a SW. She's used to weirdos. She's used to creeps. So this is like, there's nothing standing out about this guy. He's on the steering wheel and she's next to him on the passenger seat. So they're driving, and y'all. And at some point, it looks like this driver is like basically falling asleep. Like he's just disassociating from the wheel and he looks like he's tired. She doesn't think anything of it and they keep going. They get a little bit further down the road. She saw something from her peripheral morph. So she does one of those and notices that the man who was driving the car turned into a dog.
What the fuck?
With his two front paws on the wheel. This SW is witnessing a dog driving a car when a few seconds before it was a man. So the SW proceeds to take out her cigarette. She had a cigarette like in the back of her ear. She proceeded to take out the cigarette. She lights up the cigarette and starts to smoke. As she lights her cigarette, she starts to chant. She says, moi-même c'est petit Jacques Maget mieux. Pita au moins Jacques Maget. Jacques Maget is a loi. He don't play about his children, so I think that was just her reinforcing her protection. After she says that like 3 times, Jacques Maget c'est petit tout, the freaking dog next to him looks like something startled the dog, and the motherfucker started morphing back into a human. And now it's back to a man driving the car. Now, of course, the story does not end here. The man looks over to her and says, I feel weird. Did you see anything weird? Do you feel anything weird? The SW looking straight ahead at the road says, nope. He said, you didn't sense anything? She said, no, I've just been in this car smoking a cigarette. She said, why? You feeling something? He says, yeah, I felt a little weird, so I just wanted to know if you saw something, if you felt anything. She said, nah, I ain't see nothing. Must be something in the air. He proceeded to drive all the way to his house. She got there and was absolutely horrified. So while the guy went to go take a shower, she went into his kitchen, grabbed a knife, and kept it underneath her pillow. The whole time she was laying down like this, one arm underneath the pillow, holding on to the weapon. She would go on and do. She held on to that knife whole time, just in case. After they were done, it was way too dark and way too late for her to leave anyway, so she proceeded on staying the night, but she did not sleep all night. All night, she had that one hand under that pillow. The next morning, they woke up, he paid her, and she went on her way. But I was like, wait a minute, she went through with it? And she had to. If she had switched up anywhere in that timeline, that would have been it for her. Anyway, if you guys like these spooky Haitian stories, you can expect that I will be dropping another story time tomorrow. And I have an entire playlist of like 40-something videos, so go ahead and check them out. Go ahead and leave me a follow on TikTok and on Instagram. And leave me a comment letting me know what was your genuine reaction to this story. Also, thank you guys for 50,000 followers. Bye, boo-boo.
That's crazy that she still went through with it.
Not only are you not safe on the outside, be
careful with how you reject men.
I will say this over and over and over again, but rabies is one of my #1 fears. It is one of the only viruses with a 100% fatality rate. You heard that right. If you do not get the vaccine and the entire treatment within the first couple of hours, you will die. There is nothing they can do for you. And dying by rabies may be quick, but it is not a fun process. As your brain is slowly consumed by liquid virus, it starts to rip apart each individual part of your brain, causing terrifying symptoms, like being afraid of water to the point of extreme dehydration and vomiting and nausea, to making you extremely paranoid and aggressive as it destroys your amygdala. It's safe to say it is one of the worst ways to go, and #1 on my list of irrational fears.
These are scary things hidden in your favorite Disney movies, part 4. First up, we have Tangled. In case you missed it, basically Pinocchio is found up in the rafters and it looks like he's not moving or nothing. Disney, please explain. Next up, we have the movie Moana. So if you look closely, you can see a carrot and a wooden hand. So does this mean that Olaf unfortunately melted?
Damn, I didn't even notice that. See, I travel down that road, bro. I don't know. I think I'm about to have somebody with me, man. I don't know if I can do that by myself. Too many things be happening in those freaking roads, bro. Especially those dark roads at night when you can't see nothing. It's just pitch black darkness. I don't know. I don't know what that was. Got some quantum computers, man, that they hiding.
Rapunzel is Cinderella's stepmom theory. So we all know that Rapunzel had 2 kids, but when you look up her kids' names, they go by Anastasia and Gisela. Who are they, you may ask? Well, they are the evil stepsisters in Cinderella. And yes, this Cinderella's evil stepsisters are Anastasia and Gisela. So if these 2 are Cinderella's stepsisters and this is a stepmom, then that would make Rapunzel the evil stepmom. So that would mean Rapunzel learned her evil ways from her.
Say it's a dinosaur corpse that was found deep in the Himalayas near a remote ravine. Others say it's a dragon's body that was discovered on an island off the coast of Spain. When the footage first surfaced, it spearheaded a debate about whether dragons actually exist in remote areas of the world. True believers hailed the footage as groundbreaking evidence that would surely rewrite the history books.
I'm gonna have to call Cap on that.
This is why you never want to get lost in the woods. This story starts off with a birdwatcher named Kumi stumbling upon an injured hiker named Moriguchi. After getting taken to the hospital staff is shocked to learn that Moriguchi survived on the forest floor for a month straight with only the snacks in his backpack. It seems like a miracle, but this is just a facade to hide the actual truth. Kumi decides to stay in the hospital with Moriguchi for his first night until he's woken up in the middle of the night by a gulping sound. On top of Moriguchi is a woman spitting something into his mouth. The woman gives Kumi a smile and walks out of the room like nothing happened. Moriguchi is forced to tell Kumi the truth, and that's the fact that after being injured for a couple days, suddenly a woman appeared before him. This woman would feed him raw flesh when he was hungry, and blood when he got thirsty. And being an injured and starving hiker in the woods, this was his only chance for survival. Kumi tries to catch the woman before she leaves the hospital, but she transforms into a bird and flies away. Moriguchi eventually heals and goes on his merry way until a couple years later when his body is found. And only a few days before his death, the raw flesh that he used to be fed was DNA tested, and the DNA was a match to Moriguchi himself. It's revealed that before his death, Moriguchi was being held captive by the bird for a month, but instead of feeding him, it kept ripping flesh off of his body. It turns out the bird was feeding past Moriguchi his future self to keep him alive, which I guess is the circle of life.
That's an eerie story, bro. That looked like manga of some sorts. And he was like stuck in a time loop from his past and present self, keeping him alive. Plot twist.
This church is covered in skulls and bones. It's San Bernardino alle Ossa. But there are many myths and legends as to why there are so many hundreds of bones stacked over here. We have to go back to 1145, where there used to be a ospedale, a hospital, right next door, run by the Catholic Church, and they had a cemetery in order to bury their dead, but they started running out of space. So they had to build an ossuary, a small chamber where they would start to stack the bones. And amidst all the plagues and the disease and devastation, even that ran out of space. So they built a new church in 1210, with an even bigger ossuary. The church had terrible luck because it collapsed in the 1600s, taking down the ossuary and all the bones with it. 1695, they decided to rebuild the church and hired architect Carlo Giuseppe Merlo, and designed this beautiful oculus. But the most important part is the ossuary. And this is the most creepiest, most interesting section of this complex. Let's go inside. We're walking in the same steps as King John V of Portugal in 1785. When he stumbled upon this room, he was in such awe that he actually built a similar structure nearby Lisbon. And now behold the room of skulls and bones neatly stacked with each other and made into interesting decorations, such as the cross right up here. Now there's a few myths and legends as to whose skulls and bones these are. The most common one is that they are the victims of the Black Death that ravaged Europe and decimated the population by nearly a third. Another theory is that these bones are actually belonging to the soldiers of St. Ambrose who fought against the heretics, but also were killed in battle. Lastly, that these are the severed heads of men who were criminals, thieves, murderers, and people who did very heinous crimes. There might be some truth to these myths and legends, but mostly these were people who died at the nearby hospital, and the people who took care of them, the friars, the monks, and the priests. This is nothing new in Europe. Lots of orders in the Catholic faith actually stack skulls and bones in these fashions, like the Capuchin monks in Rome and many, many others. Would you walk into this room, especially at night? Do let me know. I think it must have a special magic seeing this at candlelight. And if we look above, we see frescoes painted by Sebastiano Ricci. And they're so beautiful, they have this 3D effect to them. Our relationship with death is very different from people in the Middle Ages. They would come over here and feel comforted by these bones. But nowadays, we feel afraid, we feel creeped out. Back then, death was a daily reality. You would see disease and war on a daily basis, and it would be very obvious, unlike today. How do you feel about death? Let me know in the comments. Stay curious, my friends.
See, could you guys walk in that room? All those bones just stacked up like that in a pile up everywhere. I don't know if I could do it. Won't be visiting that place.
Cursed TikTok accounts that you should never watch, number 25. Coming in at number 25, we have the account user 5282. This TikTok account has a video of a demon that has over 1 million views. And it said if you watch the video, the demon will appear in your nightmares.
Oh my god.
So this is a thing that I saw and I have to tell you about it. What that deer had is something known as deer warts. The disease began a couple decades ago whenever deer began to drink water that came as runoff off of farmers' fields. What would happen is farmers would put pesticides over their crops, rain comes down, washes it into a gully, the deer drink it and get deer warts. There's a whole backstory about the pesticide companies lobbying with the government to not get into trouble, but we won't get into that right now. Deer with the disease develop these tumors all over their body that is super contagious, which is why whenever deer are found with it, they are put down. However, the deer is perfectly safe to humans and the meat is even able to be eaten, although I would advise against it. Not for any health reason, just because it's gross. However, combine a deer wart outbreak with a chronic wasting disease outbreak, which is a prion that makes deer go crazy, and we essentially get clicker Last of Us zombie deer. So thanks FDA.
We got clickers, bro, in the big 2025. Was that expecting that bad? Wow. It's even harder to wrap my head around. Obviously, they're not real clickers, but the way they look, you can't tell me, man, if you put a picture up of that deer with that disease and the clicker, that they won't look, that they don't look alike.
NBC News messed up big time, and this mistake is honestly just mind-blowing. And I honestly just feel sorry for anyone who's going to scroll past this video. So NBC News probably made one of the biggest mistakes of news history, and I honestly believe this wasn't even a mistake. I believe they did this on purpose. Just watch the video.
During an arrest in Brisbane last year.
Like ABC News, there's no coming back from this. They literally cut to a whole satanic ritual on live television. Oh yeah, and that's another thing, this wasn't even live. This whole entire news broadcast was literally pre-recorded. That's the reason I think this wasn't even a mistake to begin with. They had to have done this on purpose. And if you watch the video back, when they cut back to the news broadcaster, she literally acts like nothing happened. So they had to have edited this in since it was pre-recorded. I don't know if this is some secret subliminal message or what. You know what? That's what it has to be. The news does be on that type of time. Hey, but make sure to follow me, below this video, like, comment, and share with as many people as possible so we can cancel ABC News.
Seekers, that's it for this video for you guys today. If you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video, comment down below, hit that post notification bell. You guys are gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.